Boyfriend used financial control to trap me in our apartment and said women should just listen to men. My parents had to drive 4 hours to help me escape while he threatened to sue me for furniture money. For context, I, 27F, work full-time as an administrative assistant at a medical office. My partner Craig, 30M, works in IT management and makes about 4 times what I make. We dated for almost 4 years before moving in together 6 months ago. He was always vague when I asked about his exact salary. He would just say he did okay or that tech paid well these days. When we started talking about living together, Craig suggested we split everything based on income. He proposed paying 70% of the rent and bills while I covered 30%. That seemed fair at first. My share came to around $900 a month for rent, utilities, and internet. With my other expenses like car payment, insurance, gas, groceries, and student loans, I was pretty much breaking even every month. There was nothing left over for savings or emergencies. The apartment hunting process took about 2 months. Craig wanted a nicer place than what I thought we needed. He kept saying that since he was paying most of it, we should get something he actually wanted to live in. We ended up in a 2-bedroom apartment that cost $2,400 a month. It was in a trendy neighborhood with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. The second bedroom was supposed to be my home office since I sometimes worked remotely. When moving day arrived, we ran into the first real problem. Craig had been storing most of his furniture at his parents' house because his old apartment was tiny. He drove there the week before we moved to get his stuff. When he came back, he said his parents' basement had a moisture problem and everything smelled musty. He was worried about mold. He decided right then that we should not bring any of his old furniture into our new place. This created an immediate issue because the plan had been to use his queen bed and his sectional couch. I only had a full-size bed and a small love seat from my college apartment. Craig said we needed to buy everything new. He wanted to go shopping that weekend before we even finished unpacking boxes. I told him I had just paid first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. I also paid the moving company and bought new curtains and kitchen supplies. My checking account had $340 left in it until my next paycheck. I could not afford to buy furniture. I suggested we use my bed temporarily and maybe get his furniture professionally cleaned. Craig got annoyed. He said he was not going to sleep on a full-size bed when he was 6'2". He also said my love seat looked like something from a dumpster. He said he would buy the furniture and I could pay him back over time. Before I could really think about it or suggest alternatives, he was pulling me out the door to go to a furniture store. At the store, Craig picked out a memory foam mattress that cost $2,200. He also chose a leather sectional that was $3,400. A dining table and chairs were another $1,100. There were lamps and a coffee table and bookshelves. The total came to almost $8,000. I kept telling him this was too much. I said it would take me a year or more to pay back half of this amount. He said not to worry about it. He said we could work out a payment plan. On the drive home, Craig laid out the terms. I would pay him $200 every month on top of my portion of rent and bills. That would cover my half of the furniture in about 20 months. I did the math in my head. That meant I would be paying $1,100 a month total to him, plus all my personal bills. I was already barely making it on $900 a month. This extra $200 was going to put me in the red every month. I tried to explain this to him. Craig said I must be bad at budgeting. He suggested I cancel my gym membership and stop buying coffee out. He said lots of people would love to live in a nice apartment with new furniture, and I should appreciate what he was doing for us. I did not know what to say to that, so I just stopped talking about it. The first 3 months were tense but manageable. I started picking up extra hours at work when I could. I skipped lunch most days and brought instant oatmeal from home for breakfast. I stopped seeing my friends because I could not afford to go out. When my college roommate got married, I had to skip the wedding because I could not afford the hotel or the gift. Craig went to a concert during this time and bought expensive seats. When I mentioned that I wished I could afford to do things like that, he said he worked hard for his money and deserved to enjoy it. The furniture payment was killing me. I was overdrafting my account every month and paying $35 fee. I asked Craig if we could lower the payment to $150 or $100 until I got a raise. He said we had an agreement and he expected me to stick to it. He said if I had been more careful with my money before we moved in, I would not be in this position. He suggested I ask my parents for help. My parents live 4 hours away in Pennsylvania. My dad drives a delivery truck and my mom works part-time at a grocery store. They helped me with college as much as they could, but I still took out loans. They were getting ready to retire and did not have extra money to give me. I did not even want to ask them. I was 27 years old and should have been able to handle my own finances. Around month 4 of living together, I started noticing other things. Craig would ask me to do tasks while he was in the middle of doing them himself. He would be standing at the stove cooking and ask me to come stir the pot. He would be holding the TV remote and ask me to change the channel. At first, I thought maybe he just wanted company or wanted to include me in things, but it started to feel like tests. One Saturday in early October, I got home from a double shift at the office. We had been short-staffed all week because 2 people were out sick. I had worked 52 hours in 5 days. I got home around 4 in the afternoon. Craig was not there yet. I took a shower, put on sweatpants, and sat down on the leather sectional. I was scrolling on my phone and half watching a cooking show on TV. Craig came home about 20 minutes later. He walked past me into the kitchen. I heard him opening the refrigerator. Then he called out asking if we had any cheese left. I said yes, In the drawer. There was silence for a minute. Then he walked to the doorway between the kitchen and living. He asked if I would make him a snack. I looked up at him. He was standing right there. The kitchen was maybe 15 feet from where I was sitting. I said I had just sat down after working all day, and he was already in the kitchen. He asked again. He said he had a long week too, and just wanted something to eat. I said he could make his own snack. Then I went back to looking at my phone. Craig stood there for a long moment. Then he said he was disappointed in my attitude. He walked away. I heard him slamming things around in the kitchen. He made himself a sandwich. Then he went into the bedroom and closed the door. About an hour later, he came back out. He sat down on the opposite end of the sectional from me. He had his arms crossed. He asked if we could talk about what happened earlier. I said sure. He started by saying that he felt disrespected. He said he paid for most of the apartment and most of the furniture, including the couch I was sitting on. He said the least I could do was be nice to him when he asked for something simple. He said he was essentially supporting me financially, and he did not think one snack was too much to ask for in return. I told him I was not his maid or his mother. I said I paid my share of the bills even though it was breaking me financially. I said buying furniture that I did not even want did not mean he owned. Craig's voice changed then. It got very calm and cold. He said that whether I wanted to admit it or not, we were not equals in this relationship. He made more money. He had more life experience since he was older. He said in his opinion, a good partner would just listen to their boyfriend and not argue about every little thing. He said I had an attitude problem. I asked what he meant by not being equals. He said exactly what it sounded like. He said he was the man and I was the woman, and that meant something. He said his father had taught him that a household needed someone in charge, and since he paid more, that person was him. He said if I had a problem with that, maybe I should think about whether this relationship was right for me. I stared at him. We had been together for almost 4 years. I had never heard him talk like this before. There had been little comments here and there, but nothing this direct. I told him I could not do this anymore. I said I wanted to move out. Craig laughed. He said I was being dramatic over him asking for a snack. He said I could not just move out every time we had a disagreement. I said it was not about the snack. I said it was about how he had been treating me since we moved in together. I said I was done. He stopped laughing. He asked where I would go. I did not have an answer. He pointed out that I had no savings and no security deposit money for a new place. He said it was almost November, and nobody was moving apartments in the middle of fall. He said I worked full-time and could not just pack up and leave without giving notice at my job. He said my parents were hours away. Then he said if I wanted to waste time being mad, I could sleep in the guest room. I grabbed my phone and went into the second bedroom. I closed the door. I sat on the floor because there was no furniture in that room except some storage boxes. I called my older sister. She lives 3 hours away with her husband and 2 kids. I asked if I could stay with them for a while. She said their house was small and they had just turned the spare room into a playroom. She said her husband's mother was also coming to stay with them for the holidays. She asked what was going on. I did not want to get into it over the phone. I said never mind and that I would figure it out. That night I barely slept. I lay on the carpet in the empty room with my jacket as a blanket. The next morning was Sunday. Craig acted like nothing had happened. He made coffee and asked if I wanted to go get brunch. I said no. He shrugged and left. I spent the day looking at apartments online. Everything in my price range was either an hour from my job or in an unsafe area. Most places wanted first month, last month, and a deposit up front. That was at least $2,000 that I did not have. I thought about asking for a loan from my bank, but my credit score had dropped from all the overdraft fees. I tried to avoid Craig for the next few days. I went to work early and came home late. I ate dinner in my car before coming inside. I kept my bedroom door closed. On Wednesday evening, Craig knocked on the door. He said this was ridiculous and we needed to talk like adults. He said if I wanted to leave, fine. But I still owed him money for the furniture, and I needed to figure out how I was going to pay him. That was when I realized I was stuck. Update 1. It has been 3 weeks since I wrote my original post. A lot happened. Some of it I am still trying to understand. After I posted, several people suggested I just leave and figure out the money later. Others said to call my parents no matter how embarrassing it was. A few people mentioned that what Craig was doing sounded controlling and possibly abusive. I did not want to believe that last part, but I kept thinking about it. The next 2 weeks were Cold War in that apartment. Craig would leave for work before me in the morning. I would stay late at the office and come home after he was already in bed. We maybe spoke 10 words to each other during that whole time. I kept sleeping in the empty second bedroom on the floor. My back was killing me, but I could not bring myself to go into the bedroom we used to share. Then on a Tuesday night, I came home around 8 p.m. Craig was sitting on the sectional watching a basketball game. He had ordered pizza. When I walked in, he turned and looked at me. He said we could not keep doing this. He said he had been thinking about everything. He said maybe he came on too strong with the furniture and the payment plan. He said if I wanted to lower the monthly payment to $100 instead of $200, he would agree to that. I stood there holding my work bag. I asked why the sudden change. He said he did not want to break up. He said we had been together for 4 years and that meant something. He said relationships took compromise. He said he was willing to compromise on the money if I was willing to work on my attitude. I asked what he meant by my attitude. He said I had become cold and distant. He said I used to be more fun and easier going. He said he felt like he was walking on eggshells around. I almost laughed at that, but I did not. I told him I would think about it. He seemed pleased. He said to take my time. Then he went back to watching his game. That weekend, Craig suggested we go out to dinner. He said his treat We went to a nice Italian place. He ordered wine. We talked about surface-level things like work and the weather. On the drive home, he reached over and put his hand on my leg. It made my skin crawl, but I did not move it away. When we got home, he asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said I was tired. He looked disappointed, but said okay. The next morning was Sunday. I slept in the main bedroom for the first time in weeks. Craig was already up making breakfast. He called me into the kitchen. He had made pancakes and bacon. He was being cheerful. He asked about my plans for the day. I said I might go visit a friend. He said that sounded good and that he was glad I was getting out more. It felt fake. All of it felt like he was performing, but I did not know what to do about it. I ate the pancakes. I said thank you. Then I left. I drove to a coffee shop and sat there for 3 hours. I was supposed to be visiting my friend Lauren, but I had not actually made plans with her. I just needed to be out of the apartment. While I was sitting there, my phone rang. It was my mom. I answered. She asked how I was doing. I said fine. She said I sounded tired. I said work had been busy. There was a pause. Then she asked if everything was okay with Craig. I said yes. Why? She said my sister had mentioned I called her a few weeks ago, sounding upset. I said it was nothing, just a small argument. My mom was quiet for a moment. Then she said if I ever needed and could always come home. She said my old room was still there and I could stay as long as I needed. I felt my throat get tight. I said I knew. I said I had to go. She said she loved me. I said I loved her too. Then I hung up. I sat in my car in the parking lot for a while after that. I thought about just driving to Pennsylvania right then, but my whole life was here. My job, my things, my lease agreement. I had signed a year lease with Craig. We were only 6 months in. If I left, I would be breaking the lease. Craig could sue me for his half of the remaining rent. That was thousands of dollars I absolutely did not have. I drove back to the apartment. Craig was watching football. He asked where I had been all day. I said at Lauren's. He said next time I should invite her over here. He said he felt like we never had guests anymore. I said sure, maybe. That night, Craig wanted to be physically affectionate. I was lying in bed reading on my phone. He started touching my arm and my shoulder. Then he tried to kiss me. I turned my head away. He pulled back. He asked what was wrong. I said I was not in the mood. He said we had not been intimate in over a month. I said I was aware. He said this was part of the problem with our relationship. I said I could not do this right now. He got out of bed. He said I was being selfish. Then he went into the living room. I lay there staring at the ceiling. I heard the TV turn on. I heard him moving around. I thought about what people in the comments had said about control, about financial abuse, about how men like this do not change. They just get better at hiding it for short periods of time. The next incident happened on a Thursday night. I came home from work around 6. Craig was already there. He was in the kitchen cooking chicken. He was in a good mood. He asked about my day. I gave short answers. He asked if I wanted to help him cook. I said I would just wait until it was ready. He laughed and said I was so lazy lately. I went into the bedroom and changed into comfortable clothes. When I came back out, Craig was plating the food. He had made chicken, rice, and green beans. We sat down at the dining table he had bought. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Craig said he had been looking at his budget. He said with the reduced furniture payment of $100 a month, I would be done paying him back in about 32 months instead of 20. He said that was a long time. He said maybe instead of monthly payment, I could just give him a lump sum when I got my tax return. He said most people got a couple thousand back from taxes. I put my fork down. I said I usually only got around $400 back because I was single with no dependents and no house. He said that was disappointing. He said maybe I should pick up a side job on weekends. He said some people drove for rideshare companies or delivered food. I said I already worked 40 to 45 hours a week. He said people did what they needed to do. I stood up from the table. I said I was not hungry anymore. He asked where I was going. I said away from him. He said I was being dramatic again. I walked into the second bedroom and closed the door. Later that night, around 11 p.m., I heard Craig go into the main bedroom and close the door. I waited another 20 minutes. Then I quietly opened the door to the second bedroom and walked into the kitchen. I needed to get my phone charger from my work bag. The bag was on the counter. I was unplugging the charger when I heard the bedroom door open. Craig came walking out. He was in his boxers. He asked what I was doing. I said, getting my charger. He said I was sneaking around. I said I was not sneaking. I was just trying not to wake him. He said this was his apartment too, and I did not need to avoid him in his own home. I said technically it was our apartment since I paid rent. He said technically, he paid most of the rent, so it was more his than mine. I said that was not how leases worked. He took a step closer to me. He said maybe we should call the landlord and ask whose name was listed first on the lease. I said both our names were on it equally. He said the deposit had come from his account though. I told him I was going to bed. I started to walk past him. He stepped in front of me. He said we were going to finish this conversation. I said there was nothing to finish. He said I had been disrespectful all night and he was tired of it. I tried to step around. He grabbed my arm above the elbow. I pulled my arm back. I told him not to touch me. He said he barely touched me. He said I was being dramatic. I walked quickly back to the second bedroom. He followed me. I tried to close the door, but he pushed it open. I backed up into the room. He stood in the doorway. He said I was acting crazy. He said normal people did not hide in empty rooms. He said if I wanted to break up, I should just say it instead of playing games. I said fine, I want to break up. He laughed. He said I could not afford to break up with him. He said where would I go? I said I would figure it out. He said good luck with that. Then he walked away. I heard him go into the main bedroom and slam the door. I sat down on the floor with my back against the wall. My hands were shaking. I picked up my phone and texted my mom. I said I needed to come home and I needed help. Update 2. My mom called me right after I sent that text. It was almost midnight. She asked what was going on. I told her everything. The furniture debt, the way Craig talked to me, how he grabbed my arm, the comment about not being equals. All of it. She was quiet for a long time after I finished. Then she said she and my dad would come get me this weekend. She said I could stay with them as long as I needed. She said to pack what I could fit in my car, and they would come back for the rest later. I started crying. She stayed on the phone with me until I fell asleep. That Friday, I called my supervisor at work and said I had a family emergency. I said I needed to take a few days off. She was understanding. She said to take care of myself and let her know if I needed anything. Craig was at work when my parents arrived on Saturday morning. They brought my dad's pickup truck. My mom helped me pack clothes and personal items. My dad started disassembling my old bed frame from the second bedroom. I had never moved it to storage, just left it in there when we brought in Craig's furniture. We were loading boxes into the truck when Craig's car pulled into the parking lot. It was only noon. He was not supposed to be home until 3 or 4. My dad saw him first. He told me to keep packing and he would handle it. Craig got out of his car. He walked up to my dad. He asked what was going on. My dad said I was moving out. Craig looked past him at me. He asked if I was really doing this. I said yes. He asked if we could talk privately. I said no. Craig's face changed. He said I was making a huge mistake. He said I owed him money and he would take me to court if I did not pay. My dad stepped between us. He said that was enough. Craig looked at my dad. Then he looked at me again. He said I would regret this. Then he walked into the apartment building. We finished loading the truck in 30 minutes. My mom wanted to leave right away. My dad said I should go inside and make sure I had everything important. He said he would come with me. We went up to the apartment. Craig was sitting on the sectional with his arms crossed. My dad went into the second bedroom to grab the last box. I walked past Craig into the main bedroom. I needed to get my birth certificate and social security card from the filing cabinet. Craig followed me. He stood in the doorway. He asked if I was really going to leave him with all the rent. I said he told me multiple times he could afford this place on his own. He said that was before I decided to screw him over. I said I was not screwing him over. He said walking out in the middle of a lease was the definition of screwing someone over. My dad appeared behind Craig. He told him to back up. Craig did not move. My dad said it again, louder this time. Craig finally stepped aside. I got my documents. I walked back through the living room. Craig called after me. He said he would send me a bill for the furniture. He said if I did not pay, he would sue. He said he had all the receipts. I did not respond. I just left. We drove to Pennsylvania. It took 4.5 hours. My parents' house looked the same as always, small and neat. My old bedroom was now half storage space. But my mom had cleaned off the bed and put fresh sheets on it. That night, we ordered pizza. My younger brother came over with his girlfriend. Nobody asked too many questions about Craig. My mom must have told them not to. We just ate and watched a game show on TV. On Monday morning, I woke up to my phone ring. It was my supervisor. She said something strange had happened. She said a man had called the office, claiming to be my emergency contact. He said I was having a mental health crisis, and he was concerned about me driving. He wanted to know if I had made it to work safely. I felt my stomach drop. I asked what she told him. She said she told him she could not discuss employee matters with anyone. He had insisted. She said she told him if he called again, she would consider it harassment. She asked if everything was okay. I said yes and that I was sorry. She said not to apologize and to take the time I needed. I hung up and immediately checked my email. There were 6 messages from Craig. The first one was sent at 2 a.m. Sunday. It said he could not believe I actually left. The second one, sent Sunday afternoon, said we needed to talk about the security deposit and the furniture. The third one, Monday morning, said if I did not respond, he would assume I was abandoning my financial obligations. The others were similar. I did not respond to any of them. My dad said not to engage. He said if Craig wanted to take me to court, he would have to actually file something official. My dad said until then, to just ignore him. On Wednesday, I got a text from an unknown number. The message said Craig had filed a small claims case against me for breach of contract and unpaid debt. It said I would be served papers soon. It said I should get a lawyer. I showed my dad. He said it was probably Craig texting from a different number trying to scare me. He said actual legal notices did not come via text message. He was right. Nothing came that week. By Friday, I had applied to 6 jobs in Pennsylvania, 2 administrative positions, 1 receptionist role, and 3 office assistant jobs. I had an interview lined up for the following Tuesday. That Sunday, my sister came over for dinner. She brought her kids. After we ate, she pulled me aside. She said she was sorry for not helping when I first called. She said her house really was too small, but she should have figured something out. She said if I needed anything now, to just ask. I told her it was okay. That night, I got another email from Craig. This one was different. It was calmer. He said he had been thinking. He said maybe we both overreacted. He said if I came back, we could work everything out. He said he would forgive the furniture debt. He said he missed me. I deleted the email. Update 3. It has been 6 weeks since I left. I am still at my parents' house. I got a job at a dental office doing administrative work. It pays slightly more than my old job, and the office is only 15 minutes from my parents' place. I started 2 weeks ago. Craig never actually filed anything with small claims court. My dad was right about the text being a scare tactic, but Craig did keep emailing and texting from different numbers. The messages went from apologetic to angry, to apologetic again. I blocked each new number. I never responded. 3 weeks ago, I got a message from the landlord of the apartment. He said Craig had given notice that he was moving out at the end of the lease. The landlord said he needed to schedule a move-out inspection. He asked when I would be available. I told him I had already moved out and Craig was still living there. The landlord said both names were on the lease and both of us needed to be present for the inspection or we would forfeit the deposit. I called my dad. He called the landlord back and explained the situation. The landlord said legally he needed both tenants present. My dad asked if we could sign something waiving my portion of the deposit. The landlord said yes, he could draft a document. I signed the paper and emailed it back. I gave up any claim to the security deposit. It was $1,200 that I had contributed half of, but I did not care. I just wanted it over. 2 weeks ago, my old coworker Lauren reached out. She said Craig had shown up at the office looking for me. Security had to escort him out after he refused to leave. She said my old supervisor had filed a report. She wanted to make sure I was okay. I told her I was fine and thanked her for letting me know. I have not heard from Craig in 8 days. I do not know if he finally gave up or if he is just regrouping. My dad installed a Ring camera at the front door of the house just in case. My mom says I am being paranoid. My dad says better paranoid than unprepared. Last week, I went to the DMV and changed my address on my license. I closed the joint streaming accounts Craig and I had shared. I changed all my passwords. I bought a new phone case and a new wallet. Small things that made me feel like I was creating some distance. I have been looking at studio apartments near my new job. Nothing fancy, just something affordable that is mine. My parents said I can stay as long as I want, but I know they are getting ready to retire soon. My dad wants to do some traveling. I do not want to be in their way. Yesterday, I got an email from Craig's account that I had forgotten to block. It said he moved out of the apartment. It said he hoped I was happy with myself for destroying 4 years of a relationship over nothing. It said he had tried to make things work, and I threw it all away. It said I would realize someday what I lost. I read it once. Then I blocked the email address. Then I deleted the message from my trash folder. My mom asked this morning if I was doing okay. I said yes. She said I seemed different lately. I asked what she meant. She said I seemed more like myself. I did not know what to say to that. I am not sure what comes next. I have a job. I have a place to stay. I have my family nearby. Craig is 4 hours away living his own life. I do not think about him as much anymore. Some days I do not think about him at all. The dental office where I work has good benefits. They offer tuition reimbursement for employees who want to get additional certifications. I am thinking about taking some classes, maybe something in healthcare administration or billing, something that pays better than what I am making now. My supervisor at the dental office is a woman in her 50s. Last week, she asked if I wanted to get coffee after work. We went to a place down the street. She told me she had been in a bad relationship in her 30s. She said it took her years to realize it was not her fault. She said she wished someone had told her sooner that leaving was an option. She said she was glad I got out when I did. I did not know what to say to that either. I am learning that I do not need to have something to say all the time. I can just exist. I can just go to work and come home and eat dinner with my parents. I can apply for apartments and save money and plan for what is next. I do not need to perform or justify or explain. Craig texted yesterday from another new number. The message just said I still owed him for the furniture. I blocked the number. I did not respond. I do not know if that makes me cold or practical or just tired. Probably all three. That is where things are now. No big ending. No revenge or closure or dramatic confrontation. Just me in Pennsylvania working at a dental office and living with my parents. Saving money, making plans, blocking numbers,